Hey everybody, welcome. We've got Ukraine update here with the Shills. There's lots going on. We got some news, and we've got a panel of guests that you would swear descended from up on high. This is going to be a great collection of people to chat with. There's only one person to introduce you to them, the fundraising king of this blue marble we call Earth, Greg Terry.
So,
you're muted.
Dawson, it's nice to see you, and it's nice to see everybody. I'm really excited tonight to hear from our guest, Sergey Serioja European Resilience Initiative Center. Going to be awesome. Commander McMillan in the house. Duncan, we have a Yoda wannabe that will be screaming out from somewhere off the coast of the UK somehow. James White, Ukraine. I respect him. American lost in the middle of Ukraine somewhere, but doing an amazing job. Yana, way down deep, South Africa. And Secular Sky, the owl in the room, coming from somewhere on the North American continent. Dickie Dawson, back at you, brother.
Awesome. So let's turn right to Sergey here from the European Resilience Initiative Center, ERIC, on YouTube. We'll get the link in right now. Get everybody over there. Start subbing. They've got such a slick thing going on with this studio and interviewing people. And, you're going to love this channel. Sergey, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for having invited me to this amazing podcast, and being together with you guys is really cool. Yes, thank you. Thank you for recommendation.
So yeah, give all the fellow babies, the rollers, and everybody listening here, give us a rundown on the channel, yourself, because I know you're right in the thick of things there. So catch us up. What's all going on over at ERIC?
Well, first, the ERIC, European Resilience Initiative Center, was it was a passion. When I founded it 2 years ago, it was more than, okay, I cannot just stay inactive. I need to do something, and I need more than just me. I need an organization with my friends, with my colleagues, who could join our forces and join our efforts to help Ukraine, and first of all to raise awareness in Germany for what is going on in Ukraine and why Ukraine is endangered. Because I founded it even before the full-scale invasion. So I spent 6 years in Ukraine in 2015, 2021, working for a German political foundation in Ukraine and in Belarus. And what I experienced was typical German bureaucracy. They love to deal the head office. They love to deal with the problems which are not more important since at least 3 years, which used to be important 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but are not important anymore. And that is a typical problem of German organizations, which are extremely bureaucratic and extremely self-focused, and try to ignore the local expertise or Ukrainian expertise or any expertise except of German one. And then I thought, okay, if you cannot push the burning agenda directly in Berlin, then you need to be agenda. You need to create something what you can do, what you know. And that's how we founded ERIC, and we have decided we will make analysis of the situation on the front and around the front, and we will raise donations for Ukrainian army, and that is what we're doing. I came back from Ukraine 2 days ago, having driven 2,500 kilometers. That is about, let me say, 2,000 miles, maybe 2,000, yeah, about 2,000 miles within 3 days. Don't ask me how many speeding tickets I've got. But we have delivered equipment to Kharkiv, solar panels, inverters, generators, and we have delivered drones to the 47th Mechanized Brigade, which is fighting close to Avdiivka. And it is an amazing feeling when you deliver goods which German citizens found, which are also unhappy with our government. And the Germans found crazy, really crazy. People donate 200 euro, 500 euro, 2,000 euro for the Ukrainian army. If someone would have told me 10 years ago or even 3 years ago that the Germans would donate for the Ukrainian army, which is fighting the Russian army, I would say it's impossible. It's just crazy. But that is what is happening now, and I'm so proud for my people. Exactly as I'm not happy with my government, but I'm so proud for my people, and I tell it in Ukraine everywhere. Guys, Germans are staying on your side and are ready to help, and Scholz is not all the Germans.
Well said.
Yeah,
I really like this guy.
Totally, man.
absolutely.
Holy
But I think-
moly.
I
So
think that's something that we have, that all of us can kind of say, like, the
Okay, Sergey.
government isn't the people, which is sad when you think about it. Like, we're all coming from democracies, but for all of us, I mean, like,
Yeah, it's-
if you
it's
look at all the people coming together,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to what looking what the people are doing versus what the government is or isn't doing, it's a big
Well, I
difference.
know
and
one
then,
thing. Sergey and I will be connecting in the future. I've heard enough.
I know.
I've heard enough. We work in the same spots. I also help the 47th massively, so I'm sure we know similar people. So
Surprised you haven't crossed paths, to be honest.
yeah,
you know.
So this is cool. Well, it will happen.
And you should
Oh,
follow
yeah.
him on Twitter. He's got amazing tweets.
I didn't know we were doing job interviews today. I'm not prepared.
Oh, also, Sergey, quick question. I heard you say mechanized brigade. Which mechanized brigade did you say you guys would work with?
47th. It's 47th mechanized
Marcus.
brigade. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, exactly. It is Magura and yeah, but look, that is actually many of these like links to
Yeah.
specific units. They create like they're based on personal connections. You need to know people. You need to trust people. You need to be able to call them. You need to be able to message them in the chat, and they need to know that they may trust you, and that if you say, okay, I will bring like next week or next month so much drones or that equipment, and we are now like raising donations, and I need some photos and videos from you to boost the donation campaign. They need to trust you. They need to know that you will not like misuse their photos, that you will not like disclose specific information, etc., etc. It is mutual trust, and that's why many of, if not all, of these donation campaigns are being like funded on like personal relations. And
Yeah.
actually, like for me, it started in like the donation campaigns, like this fundraising. I never thought that I will do this thing, because it's not what I used to do in my previous job. Like I made mostly political analysis, security analysis, like networking, writing policy papers, etc. I didn't do fundraising or political campaigns like this fundraising. But it was, I would say, it was October 22 when the Russians first started to mass bomb Ukrainian electricity networks in hope to freeze Ukraine out. And as I said, I spent 6 years in Ukraine working there. And on one morning, my former colleague, my office manager, Victoria Sologub, who spent in Kyiv all the time during the Russian bombing in the first weeks and days of invasion, she sent me a photo. She sent me a photo of a dark corridor room where a small like power station and a battery gives energy, provides energy for a Christmas star, and Christmas star is lighting in that room, like very dark room, very very gothic, I would say, picture, if I could use this word. It was like terrible. And I asked you, what is that? And she said, okay, like we're living in a multi-stories house, 20 stories, and we're living like on 16th or 17th floor. And when the Russian missiles come, there is no sense to go down all the 16 stories, because like who knows like where you will stuck, and you will not, you cannot just go like 5 times a day 60 stories down and 60 stories up in winter, and you cannot use elevator because there is no power. So we hide with our families. We hide in the corridor, inside of in the core structure of the building, because then you have like several layers of walls, and when a Russian missile hits like outside wall, that you have better chance to survive, because the parts of the missile, they need to penetrate several layers of the
Yeah,
walls.
and you're spreading the
Exactly.
energy out to minimize, right?
Exactly. Yeah. but you don't have light there because like there are no windows, no nothing, and no electricity. So the children were totally scared. They were absolutely afraid, and they were screaming and crying. And so the parents, in order to calm them down, they had that battery and they lighted up a Christmas star to give to provide some feeling of coziness to these children. I thought, okay, that's terrible. Actually, we are about to celebrate Christmas in Germany soon, and in Kiev, like these children are screaming and crying under Russian bombs in darkness. So I started a first donation call, and people in Germany reacted very, very fast, very fast. And they started to donate money. We have raised like 15,000 or more euro within like 2-3 days. So I bought all possible power generators and these power stations, which I could buy in a radius of, let me say, 100 miles around of Berlin, and I brought them to Ukraine. And I entered Ukraine not on Christmas, on New Year Eve. So I was the only person in the train who was entering Ukraine on 31st of December 22. And that gave me so much power back then, because I brought these power stations not only to IDPs, internal displaced persons, their families, but also to a hospital and to an orphanage and to like some community center in Izum city in Kharkiv region, which was recently liberated from the Russian occupation back then. And then I thought, okay, like we need to expand it. We need to start doing more of that, because there was clearly a wish from the German population to do what our Chancellor Scholz and his government did not do and still does not do it. So I started another campaign for my friend who she was a sociologist, young sociologist in a university of in Ukraine, in some provincial city of Ukraine. And when the Russians attacked Ukraine, next week she volunteered for the army without zero army experience. And she's until now she's in the army, and back then like she was fighting for 1 year. And I asked her what her unit needs, and she named me like a number of medical equipment, which was very hard to buy in Ukraine. And then I started a call, we raised money. Then I found out you don't buy this equipment in Germany, because that was special tamponades for bullet wounds. Like when you have like a bullet, especially like in some parts of your body where it's very hard to tamponade it, you need to have like special device. It looks like a hypodermic device, but it doesn't inject you with some liquid. It injects you with small pellets which tamponade your wound. Like a very interesting device. And in Germany, we don't have them. You cannot buy them because they're not certified in Germany, because we don't have that much shot wounds, and we don't need them. You cannot buy them in a drugstore. You can buy them in the US. So I found a person in the US who could buy them. Then this person said, wow, like I can buy them, but I need like a medical proof that these will be used under medical supervision, and that medics should like have a US license, etc. So I found this medic who connected the medics in this unit, and they exchanged their details. So they issued all the papers. Then I said, okay, like we need to buy like some hundreds of these devices, like 2 large suitcases. Then like some older like friend of mine from Munich had her friend in the US who was traveling to Germany, and that lady was so friendly. Then said, okay, I will go only with my backpack, and both my suitcases will be full with this medical equipment. So it was like a sudden chain of people
awesome.
who I didn't know at all, and who were everyone was offering their help and saying, yes, we can do it for you. And I ask you, okay, how can I thank you? I said, no, like you don't need to, because it's for Ukraine. So we have brought this equipment to that unit, And then that friend of mine said, okay, like now we need drones. And that was the first challenge for me, because a drone, like a night vision, thermal vision drone, it costs like about €5,500 here in Germany. And I was afraid. I thought, wow, I will never be able to raise that much money within like for one single device, which can be lost within like an hours if Russian electronic warfare is effective enough. And then we have raised within a week money for 2 drones, and that was a blessing.
Yeah.
And then we started to do it, and it ended in campaigns which raised like 170,000 euros, so up to $200,000 within, let me say, 1 month, because people,
That's
I
very impressive.
realized that
Yeah.
Germans wanted to see the Russian army defeated.
Right.
Oh,
And as
Yeah.
much Chancellor Scholz demonstrated his reluctancy, as more of the Germans wanted to insert their money into the Ukrainian army and say, guys and girls, our Chancellor is a coward, he's doing nothing, but here is our money, and that is what we can do. So do your job, we will fund you.
yeah.
cool.
There, I know quite a few German citizens and German speakers who actually have their own small group where everything is in German when they speak, of course. And the amount of passion that there are a lot of people very passionate about helping Ukraine in
Yeah.
Germany. Yeah, people need to be aware of that.
Big time. Let me jump in with a couple of super chats here. And I want to get an update from Greg Terry's fundraising efforts, and then we'll check in with everybody else as well. Just 1 second here while I switch to the right place to be so I can do it. Here we go. We've got Holly Blation in the chat there with a direct tip for $6.66. And it's
Dick,
boom, 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 boom. Hey?
Dick, you're so carnal, you can't even say the word holy. Holy oblation, not holly oblation, holy.
It's that thing. I get a little dyslexic at times, and I'm also squinting really hard. You could probably see me doing it. I really
Greg,
got to go and get my eyes
Yes,
done.
I just want to point out that Dick can use the word holy. It's just you won't like the words he adds on to the end of it.
That's true. Very good, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, that's probably a good point there. Silver Earth came in with a $50 super chat. Share this stream. Hi, everyone. Hugs, Slava Ukraini. Love it. Love
Roman
it.
Slava.
Exactly. Always have to respond. Sprinkles, DMC there, gifted out a Shills membership. Thank you very much there, Sprinkles. Yvonne Way came in with a super sticker. She's the queen of the super stickers around here. And it's the little fox guy doing something cute. I try to act them out, but I'm not exactly Carl Malden or whoever.
Or cute.
Yeah. Matt Leach Music joined in with a Shills Apprentice notice there. I had also noticed that it said that Why Ukraine is also a new member. So thank you there, James. And
You're welcome.
well, thank you. And then Thomas Men came in with a direct donation of $50. And the note was glory to Ukraine. So thank you very much. I think I'm caught up. Yes. All right. I got people correcting me in our back chat. Come on, you can say it. So let's turn it over to Greg here and get an update because funds are flowing.
Yeah, I would just once again give massive props to Sergey. Sergey, we'll get together and do a stream, bud, because I'm blown away by the work. I've never heard of your efforts, and I'm so happy to meet you here tonight on the Shills. And it seems that one of the things that Dickie Dawson does is he brings people together that do not know each other. So huge kudos to you.
Thank
And
you.
to
Yeah.
your
Trying
effort.
our best here.
Thank you so
we
much.
found
Thank
it
you, guys.
first.
It was indeed amazing, and Dick addressed me during as we were making our live show from Berlin together with Silicon Curtain Project,
Yeah.
also great YouTuber who is providing a lot of fantastic interviews. And got addressed and asked, like, can we make a show together? I said, of course I can. And that is what I think that is what everyone can make at least a bit in that direction, because to support Ukraine, to help Ukraine, to popularize Ukraine, because the Ukrainians are fighting for us, and they are, yes, we provide money and support, moral support, technical support, but they pay with their blood and with
Yes.
their lives. And that is what many people in Europe still do not understand, that this war cannot be won with only prayers and good intentions and moral support. That is all good, but the Ukraine needs guns, and the Ukrainians need money. And it sounds like a bit like cynical, but no war ever in history was won by bravery alone. Even in old Greece, in old Rome, soldiers needed swords, soldiers needed arrows, and they need to be produced and delivered. And that is what is going on here. The Ukrainians need not only our moral support, which is good, but they need our technical support. And that is what people provide.
Absolutely. And I was on another stream earlier today talking about this topic, and there's a real need. People have been saying this for a long time. I've been saying it for a while. There's a need in Europe and in the US, both really, to increase production of different weapons, especially for land-based artillery warfare, because there is a shortage. It needs to be filled. And if you're not producing it, the only other option is to go find other people who will trade to you. And sometimes those people you want to trade with in order to fight this war, you know, there can be caveats. So I really hope we see that increase very soon on the continent.
Yeah.
You know, it always fascinates me that this is a recurring theme in modern warfare of people miscalculating how much heavy ordnance they're going to need. And you see it, you know, going back as far as like the Boer War, the Civil War, where you get, you know, we're running out of ammo. We need to increase ammo production because everybody assumes, oh, we're only going to fire this much. And the expenditure rates are, you know, 4, 5, 10 times what the predictions are.
Right.
It's a lesson that gets learned and then immediately forgotten.
People need to keep their nose in the history books a bit more. You know, it's that whole repetition thing everybody talks about all the time, right? For sure.
Yeah. I feel like if we sat here and analyzed why that is in peacetime, I mean, it makes logical sense when there isn't something similar to a world war happening that, you know, wartime production goes down. But I feel like there's a million and one reasons why, including legitimate in peacetime anti-war efforts to try to keep the world stable and less conflict going on, but it does lead into this trap where eventually enough time passes that you end up with crises like this one we're facing right now.
But there is a situation where it's like ordnance has a shelf life as well. You know, you can't just like make it and just keep it forever.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a second part which is an interesting corollary, at least in major free world Western countries, is that it's much sexier politically to buy hardware than ordnance. So you can get people to approve funding for a new tank or a new aircraft, but saying we want to produce 1 million artillery shells, and people kind of go, yeah, who cares? They assume that when the war starts, you just flip a switch and magically they all appear in the arsenal. It doesn't work that way.
Then there's also the question, though, like was said about the shelf life. If, okay, like let's say you live in a particular time where there are, I mean, there's always conflicts, but there's less major conflicts across, you know, developed economies, like wars like what we see between Ukraine and Russia right now, because this is something that you don't usually see in the developing world. So the needs in terms of the amount of ordnance it's a lot higher typically, yeah, you end up with this issue where the amount of ordnance that is produced and you've got in storage, if it is about to go bad, do you just scrap it? Do you lose that money? Do you sell it? If you do sell it, are you going to have bad political, blowback? So I think there's a lot of reasons.
In a lot of cases, what they do is refurbish old ordnance.
Oh.
So, yeah, you get stuff that's sent back to the factory, and parts of it they can use. I mean, for example, let's take a 155 millimeter artillery shell. That casing, it doesn't degrade.
Right.
It's what's inside the casing and the fusing mechanism and the propellant charges that degrade. So they'll send it back and they'll heat it up and melt the explosives inside the shell out of it, and then replace it with new explosives. That kind of.
That sounds so safe.
It actually, I know it sounds ridiculously dangerous, but it's actually fairly safe, or actually quite safe, because the procedures have been figured out over a long period with a lot of unfortunate accidents.
Don't
you take a big hammer and just hit the back of the shell to knock the explosives out?
Yeah, it's like that. There's a Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's doing that. He's going like this and hitting it with a hammer to see if it blows up.
That was a joke I made today. Prutler has decided that he's going to show people he truly is a member of the military. So he's got a job now at the end of the line, and he hits the shells with a hammer to see if they're duds or not.
Let it be. Let it be.
If only.
If only.
Hey, we have a live Starsky coming.
Hey, we do.
Hey, we have Starsky.
Hey. Oh.
Yeah,
Yes.
almost, everybody. Here, let's get you turned up.
It's so nice to see you guys.
How you doing, brother?
You look great. Did you shave your head just for us?
Of course, I do it before every stream, but before it's 100%.
There we go. Here, let me flip my little button here, and I'll get him in his hexagon so we can all see him all the time.
Starsky. Well, hello, Starsky. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
Yeah, and guys, by the way, can you
Keep
see
your day
me well?
job.
Because I'm trying to connect through mobile network. I'm not sure if it works.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Telling
Looking
you,
great,
man.
sounding great. All good.
Ukraine's internet is the best in the world. I swear to God.
Yeah, I agree with you, because currently I'm using German internet. And, I think I think it's worth €80 a month.
Man, I was about to say, I think South Korea's got some words for everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, that's funny. So, Starsky, Sergey Starsky. Sergey's from the Eric guys there that you had the interview
Where's our
with and
host?
everything, right? Hey? Do you not hear me? Oh, God, don't tell me.
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Good,
I can
good.
hear you.
Okay.
So wait a minute. Is Starsky? Are you in Germany as well as Sergey here?
Yeah, pretty much. We met the other day in Berlin on this panel dedicated to misinformation, and it was amazing. A lot of great speakers. I was dreaming to meet General Ben Hodges in person. Unfortunately, it was not the case. General is a very busy person, and I don't think he has much time meeting captains like me, because I'm a captain. But he was on record, and I had a lot of fun and spent a lot of good time meeting other people. Jonathan Fink, again, he was probably among we have to say thank you to Jonathan for making this panel possible, as well as Sergey and Sasha.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was great. It was great. I hope more viewers will see this panel, because record is available, because a lot of very, very important things were told during this panel.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed. Like I think about 20 minutes through the stream, I was already bugging them in the background. Hey, you got to come over and join us for a show. You know? It was awesome. It was such a great chat. Speaking of which, we have some things to show. Let's see, Yana, you wanted. We have a video that we're going to show, and I'd like you to intro this to everybody.
Yeah. So, as you guys, this video went quite viral on Thursday. As you guys know, Russia has a tendency to double tap civilian areas. And we have Claw Sky. Sorry, my dog, Claw. And we're quite good friends with people in Kharkiv who are it's a father and son, and they work at the fire department, and they also in their spare time repair our cars. And a while back they actually asked us for armored vests because they were scared of a double tap, and we didn't get it. I asked, couldn't arrange it, and then on Thursday during Thursday's attack on Kharkiv, the dad died in the attack. I later messaged Pete, and I was because obviously I'm like, wait, what if this could be saved by, what if the dad could have been saved by a vest? And apparently the Shahid drone landed 2 meters away from Vladislav, so a vest wouldn't have helped. But this video you guys are going to see, it is just as Vova, the son, comes on the scene after his dad's body has been, he kind of saw it happen or heard it happen and knew that it was his dad's location that was hit.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Here, I'll bring it up here.
That is indeed a terrible, absolute terrible, devastating situation. I've been to Kharkiv 3 days ago, and that is exactly, it was that campaign which we started in Germany. We have raised 45,000 euro within less than 1 week, 4 days, 3 days, and we have purchased power equipment for the people in Kharkiv, and we have brought equipment there during the first days. And then we bought also construction materials to let people to at least cover with wooden plates the windows, the broken windows in their apartments, to get the first construction work in their apartments to protect themselves from wind, from cold, etc. And it was all possible only thanks to volunteers, Ukrainian volunteers, who organized all the purchase of the construction materials, distribution of them, and all the equipment like screwdrivers, screws, nails, hammers, saws, etc. And when I came there, it was a first thing you need to imagine are normal residential area with 5-story houses from 1960s, pretty small apartments, houses which have 3, 4 entrances, 5 stories each. The two buildings stay parallelly to each other with a distance between of about, let me say, 30-meter, so like 70, 80 yards. And the Russian missile hit directly in between of these buildings, close to children playground. And the shock wave which came to the sides destroyed every single window in every single flat in these two houses. So it just like hit everything and destroyed also the balconies and. So when you enter, like you understand, people live there in these houses still, and there were a lot of construction work still because people trying to repair their houses. And what like was shocking for me, both positively and yeah, and it was like it was not a normal natural situation, you know. But when I saw, it was clean. It was everything clean. People worked like crazy on making their life livable again. They have collected every single piece of broken glass, every single piece. Like children could once again play on that playground without being afraid of being hurt by broken glass. They brought all the broken glass, all the broken wood, everything to the like area where they collected it in huge like containers, and they have cleaned everything. They have covered the impact crater with soil. They have trumped it like to make it not dangerous for kids anymore. And they were working to make their destroyed houses livable again. And that was an impression. And I thought, oh my gosh, that sort of resilience, that sort of power, of moral power, it is incredible. If you go through Kharkiv, you see you don't see any house unhurt. The houses are either hit or one window is broken, or you see other signs of destruction everywhere. It's a 1 million inhabitant city. You see destructions of larger scale, minor scale everywhere. But you see the cafes are open, people are going to their job. Public transportation is functioning. People are like cleaning the streets. They are bringing water to flowers, etc. And on cafes, you see all the slogans about how they want to win, how they want to defeat Russia. And that is what the Russians never expected, especially in Kharkiv, because Russians believe that Kharkiv is a city so close to Russia, will be taken within the first days, and all the people would welcome Russians, which never happened and will not happen.
Very much. Very much. So Yana, should we flip over? Do you want to play the video?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we can. Yeah, we can play the video, and then afterwards, we'll talk. Afterwards, I'll answer some questions because I see Alvin Archer has asked a question about financial help and so on. So I think let's play the video, and then I'll just make a comment on that as well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Here, I'll play it right now. I'll bring it up full screen, like so everybody can see well here.
Вова, смотри на меня. Вов, меня слышишь? Вова, тихо.
That's a real heavy moment in life.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just so you guys know, I just talked to Pete 30 minutes ago. He was at the funeral today in
Yeah.
Kharkiv.
So-
And
so the
very,
funeral-
very special time. He said it was very, very moving, emotional, powerful, respectful, honorable, but very difficult. So very challenging night for him to get some rest.
Yeah. So, as Greg said, the funeral was today. And obviously, always when there is a funeral of this kind, you're always kind of scared that Russia is also going to hit the funeral. So, luckily, they didn't. But I know Alvin Archer asked if Vova and his family needs any financial help. So we did, like on our Project Konstantin group, we have, started collecting money, and Pete has sent it through and everything. So we've done that like separately. We didn't do a public fundraiser. We didn't know if it was necessary or so. But if you guys want to think we should, we can probably.
It's a good idea.
Okay, so then I can create one, and then I don't know. You guys can probably also bother Dick and send through stuff during the stream.
Yeah.
And then we'll also probably also I'll set up a donor box as well, specifically for the family, and have that run for a week or so, or maybe a month or so.
Perfect.
Because Vladislav was also one of, like, obviously they relied on his income as well. And I mean, Pete and Vova, they're like best friends. It's really cute to see. They're like best friends. Pete was at his wedding. It's really funny. They call each other names to the point where Halina and I weren't even sure what Vova's actual name was, because like it's really
Just never heard it, right?
yeah, because the thing is, like, we know him, like, on his phone, like on our phone, he's like Volodymyr, but Pete keeps calling him Yura, and we're like, is it Yura or is it Volodymyr? And we even have this thank you video up on our YouTube channel, where Pete thanks Volodymyr, and in the end he says, "Thank you, Yura." And eventually I asked Pete, I'm like, Pete, listen, what's the deal with this? He's like, no, Yura is kind of his and Vova's name for each other. It's kind of their way of calling each other idiot. So Halina and I, like, for like a year and a half almost, like, she's known Vova that long. I've only recently started like working with him. So we were like, what's his actual name? Now we know it's Vova. But like on Twitter, everyone was like, thank you, Yura, thank you, Yura. And we're like, okay. We sent all of this to Halina so she could send it through to him.
Somebody make sense of this, please.
Yeah, but so it's I don't know. I guess it's, for me, it's like people that I know through people, but in Pete's case and in Greg's case as well, it's and in Starsky's case, and I'm sure in your case as well, John, it's like it's people you know personally that are hit in these attacks. For me, it's the closest. Like, I have Pete and Halina who get hit constantly, with Halina and Odessa. But it's
bad.
I was just so people get an awareness, to add a little context to your statement there, Yana. I was down with the Cranky guys a month or so ago, and I was bringing them some aid, and we loaded them up, and took some pictures together, and ate and hung out, and just right down there above the river. And I got a call the next night that 11 of the 12 guys that I had taken a picture with less than 4 hours beforehand were all killed in their boats trying to cross the river. So, you get that if you're on the front, you get that much more often than you really want. And it's devastating, and that's why you value every moment, every cup of tea, every cup of coffee, every hug, everything, every personal relationship, every picture being shared, every story, everything, because you never know when you get within that 20 kilometer of the zero and equally closer. You know, if you're going to be hit in a random city, a random attack, whether it be in Kyiv, Lviv, Khmelnytsky, it doesn't matter. Any of those cities, it's going to be a bit more random. But of course, the closer you get to the front, where the drones are more active, the artillery is much more active, the FPV drones that are now pushing everywhere. We've ran from so many drones, and your drone detector is going beep, 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 and then it goes solid, and you jump out of your car and you run into anything you can find, and you thank God when it flies over your head. The Lancets, the Orlans, they're legit, and it's a challenge. So the closer you get, I mean, I personally, 10 months on the front lines, I've personally lost hundreds of friends.
Wow.
Hundreds.
That's way too big a number, man.
But it's stupid.
Yeah.
This is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you hear statements like that, it again, it's not just frustrating, guys. For Greg, as he said, has lost people, and it's infuriating when aid isn't delivered.
Yeah. And
Let's
like Greg will know, like, because Greg messaged me. The first person I actually found out about that Vladislav has died was Greg told me, and then I looked at the Project Konstantin group chat, and I actually messaged Greg, and I told him, I'm like, listen, I was supposed to get Vova and Vlad like vest. Like, is this my fault? And he was like, no, it's not. Okay.
No, I told you instantly because I could see where you were going in your mind.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I know those guys.
And I also basically
nothing would have helped other than nothing would have saved the man's life.
But even though I still messaged Pete, like later in the day, like 5:00 in the afternoon, I messaged Pete. I'm like, hang on a second. Because I still needed to hear it from Pete still. And Pete was like, also like, he told me, he's like, you know what? He sent me a screenshot of his chat with Vova. And Vova actually told him, he's like, it landed 2 meters away from Dad. This isn't your fault. But I think the reason I was beating myself up, because I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I wasn't persistent enough in asking for a vest. Because I asked someone, hey, can you maybe get a vest? And I wasn't as persistent as I know I could have been. And I kind of decided, you know what, after this, if I know someone needs something, I'm going to be the most persistent, annoying person ever. Like, whoever I'm asking, their phone is not going to be like it. They're going to have to block me before I stop asking for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though, like, in this case, it wouldn't have helped, but for that like little piece of time, until I knew, it was eating at me. And even though at the end of the day, it is Russia that, you know, sent the Shahid and everything. But yeah. So that's where it comes from with you know, aid not getting there directly and not getting there fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like too often, like by the time we raise up the funds to supply the thing, they're like, oh well, we don't need it. We got, you know, we got something else now, and so we're always playing catch up a little bit, you know.
Or what happens with because I've got a few Ukrainian friends who fundraise for soldiers from their village, you know, and this friend of mine, she's in Germany, but she lives in Germany, but she fundraises for soldiers from her village. And then she has the fundraiser and everything, and then she gets a call and it says, the guy's no longer needed, the unit is no longer alive. So that also happens. where your fundraising all of a sudden it's no longer necessary because the guys who need it no longer need it. It's also the case with Greg. You've met Harry and Dima from One Team One Fight. They have the same issue where guys ask them, they're like, hey, we need this, and then by the time they have everything ready, the guys who need it are no longer there to receive it.
Yeah.
We adopted a battalion, I'm sorry, part of the 3rd Assault. And there was a new battalion being formed, 2nd Rifle Battalion. And they had to rotate into Avdiivka too early. And they were able to get their numbers up to 500. And they had to leave basically 50% early from their training due to trying to hold. And this, of course, is a month or so ago. 500 went in, 230 came home. So these are real numbers, guys. Real numbers. You never see them on your headlines.
Yeah.
And we supply that entire battalion and know them extremely well and personally, and we're always with them. And this is reality. This is why it's so important that we all are doing what we're doing. It's vital.
Very much. Very much. Very much. Sergey, I wanted to turn over to yourself. Is there any questions or comments from people over watching the stream on your side? Anybody wanting to get in with any interactions or anything?
Like there is like a lot of support with no questions. Like there are a lot of people who are messaging Slava Ukraini. There is one person from Germany, Alexander Harder, who has just donated for the European Resilience Initiative Center link for our Kharkiv project support. And thank you, Alexander, for your donation. And yes, like mostly people, express their support for Ukraine.
Awesome.
Sergey, I was just wondering, your the panel that you and Starsky were on today, was that live streamed?
That was
or is it going to
2
be
weeks
on
ago?
YouTube or anything?
No, it was like 2 weeks ago. It was on, I think, maybe 3 even weeks. It was on 15th March. I will post now a link to this panel. It is
That'd be great.
recorded and available. It's actually amazing panel. Like I wasn't on that panel. I was a host on 2 other panels and a guest at one we had in Berlin. 8 hours, almost 8 hours live marathon from Berlin. It just
Marathon, yeah.
it was exactly. It was a marathon. It was done jointly with Jonathan Fink from the Silicon Curtain project, and we had like really star guests. Starsky, one of them, but not only. We had amazing person, a Canadian expert on the sanctions. He's now a fellow at our European Resilience Initiative Center research project. We were talking about sanctions, how to seize Russia's assets, sovereign assets. We had a panel with 2 other fellows of ERIC from the US, US Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Jahara Frankie Matisek and Will Renault, professor at Northwest University. We had German parliamentary military expert, retired colonel of Bundeswehr, Roderick Kiesewetter, who is one of the biggest supporters of Ukraine in Germany, discussing sanctions and military support and nuclear blackmailing by Russia. So a lot of people, and of course Jonathan Fink, Nikolai Klemenuk, German journalist of Ukrainian Jewish heritage, and Starsky were in that panel. The link is in the comments, and I will now post the link for the whole 7.5 hours marathon. It's worth to watch. Really, a lot of insights, a lot of knowledge. Why European sanctions do not work? Why Russia does what it does? About the Russian narratives, Russian imperialism, about Ukrainian ways to fight the Russian army, very creative ways. So I hope you will enjoy it, guys, if you would look at it. And thank you, Starsky, for having done it, it was like a really huge insight chance for us to know how it looks like from the side through the eyes of a Ukrainian veteran. Now
Now-
Thank you so much.
the link for 8 hours is also there now.
Oh, I
Thank
see.
you so much, Sergey. It was a pleasure and honor to be there and finally meet Jonathan, because we had so many streams together, like videos together, but never met in person. Also, big pleasure to meet you, meet Sasha. And actually, I'm really happy that I made it in time, because as soon as I returned back from Berlin, I got flu. I got sick. I almost freaking died, guys. I had 2 most impressive weeks of my life just dying in the bed, but luckily I'm back alive. Yeah, but it was a great experience. I really do hope that there will be more viewers, because this content is very important. The insights from people like General Ben Hodges, for example, they're absolutely precious. And one thing I would like to say, addressing the thing that my brother Greg said just a while ago regarding the losses of the Ukrainian army, Ukrainian defenders dying in such numbers. The reason it happens is because Ukraine doesn't have enough shells and enough
Exactly.
anti-air measures. That is the only reason why it happens. Had we had enough shells for Western artillery that we have in big numbers here in Ukraine, but we still have to use old Soviet D-30 howitzers. The reason is because the military supplies to Ukraine, they stop coming, which is not just dangerous, it's freaking ridiculous. It's, it's as if people on the West heard this message from Putin, who said Ukraine must be cut from supplies. This is my demand. And basically, this is exactly what we see nowadays. It must not be like that, because those guys could be alive today if we had enough artillery to suppress Russian artillery. Currently, in the situation when we have 1 howitzer against 10 Russian howitzers that have, unfortunately, better range than we, even though last year we had better range, better precision using American M777s, using Polish Krabs, using other artillery units. Guys, this is a completely ridiculous situation, and this is why our guys are dying, unfortunately. Not only Ukrainian guys, but also guys from other countries who come to fight for Ukraine. This is why they are dying, and this is why we should raise awareness and return these supplies to Ukrainian army.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100% agree. And that's the same story you hear. And of course, Starsky in this panel knows more than anybody. He's forgotten more than we know from his experiences. However, he's correct. When you go there and the commander sits down, I'm having coffee with him, and he says, Greg, if we just had shells, I would have lost maybe 50. I wouldn't have lost 270. I would have lost 50.
Yeah. No.
There's nothing we can do. And then you add on top of that, and I know Sergey was talking about it earlier, but the adjustment in the warfare right now, guys, is I don't think the world is aware of the level of drone activity.
No doubt, right?
It is. I'm going to have Pete on live Monday night. We just confirmed it. He's got a couple of days of rest, so he's going to come on Monday. He's going to talk about it. He's just going to talk about the amount of drones that are Russian and Ukrainian going at the warfare. Warfare, and Commander McMillan, you were making a mention about this earlier, but in regard to refurbishing the shells, and the processes of that. But at the same time, We're entering a new phase of warfare, of electronic warfare, and of drone warfare, and of cyber warfare,
Yeah.
and the increase of the propaganda warfare. You know, to agree completely with Starsky, it is a tragedy
Yeah.
that Ukraine does not have enough shells right now just to hold their line. They have the only reason they're holding, guys, is because they're superhero fighters.
They're the better
and they're
military
fighting for
if
their
they-
homeland. It's not even close.
Yeah, and if they just had stuff to throw at the bastards, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. But
Yeah.
in addition to that, just please, guys, pay attention. The drone warfare, the technological warfare is a little bit higher than probably most of the world recognizes and understands. It's changing technologically every couple of weeks. There's an adjustment in that technology, and Russia is changing their technology. Ukraine is changing their technology. And it's just, this war is different than any war we've ever experienced. We see basically 150 years of warfare. I take it all the way back to the American Civil War with the artillery warfares, the cannon warfares. Take it to World War I with the trench warfare, World War II with the increase of the artillery and the beginning of the airplanes and the bombs and all of this. And you throw all of that into it, and then you come to the modern warfare. And we have a war here that nobody, their history is being written about it right now. That's the reality of it. And then, in addition to what Starsky said there, the tragedy that we are struggling to stop the glide bombs due to the lack of supply, even if it was even any kind of airplane we get in there or more air defense that we can throw at them. They are horrible, guys. I was with the scaredest I've been. First of all, you're never fearful, to be quite honest. The adrenaline is going and you're helping. And we are a unique aid group. We are fully working with the military, and we're fully geared up. We're fully armored. We're fully carrying candies that we may need if possible. We're ready to roll. But we get to certain places, you know, the drones, they're scary. But I'm going to be honest with you. I was with a couple of guys right up on the border with Russia in the Sumy region. And we were talking, having tea. They were getting ready to go to a different part of Ukraine and for their job. And they had called and said, Greg, would you come? You've been spending a lot of time where we're going. And we've never been there. So could you tell us what it looks like, the terrain, all this stuff. And we were sitting there chatting. And guys, the glide bomb hit right across the street and down a couple of 100 yards, couple 100 meters. And I'm going to tell you, I saw fear in everybody's eyes, and there was only 5 of us in the building, and the fear was in everybody's eyes. And it was at that moment, the eyes as big as saucers. Everybody grabbed their helmet, everybody grabbed their body armor, and we all literally ran out of the house, jumped into our vehicles, and drove as fast as we could drive. It shook you to the core. So those are major problems that we have to deal with. And the world's so slow. I'm so sorry for my country. I love my country. We've done a lot to help, and nations around the world are doing a lot to help. But this political infighting that is a result of 30 to 40 years of propaganda, going back all the way to the days of Khrushchev. And it started way back then, guys. And now we're reaping that. Boris Nemtsov was right in 1984. We're watching it happen right before our eyes, and the world needs to wake up to it before it's too late and stand for what's right.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can only agree here. That is the situation we are facing now. We are the problem. Like, the tragedy is that the West is much stronger than Russia, and we could have helped Ukraine to win this war already in 2022.
Yes.
If we would have been ready and decisive. And our, like, that is the next step of the strategy is, as I said before, our societies are way more supportive for Ukraine and way more ready for sacrifice than our elites. And that was the decision of our elites. And I'm, as a German citizen, I'm absolutely ashamed of what my government is not doing. Chancellor Scholz, but not only he. We have like amazing speeches by the Greens, by the Liberals, but when it comes to voting at the Bundestag, no person in the governmental coalition voted for Taurus missiles for Ukraine. And before and after, all of them provided perfect interviews how much we need to support Ukraine, how much Putin is the danger for the world. Then I asked them, where are the goddamn missiles? Where are the goddamn shells? And we celebrate 2 years after the start of full-scale invasion, 2 years after, we celebrate on TV how the Chancellor Scholz is celebratingly opens the construction pit of the future ammunition factory, which will be ready in 3 years and will start to produce ammunition, which will be ready in another 6 months or 7 months. That is incredible. The German producer of Taurus missiles says they stopped producing Taurus missiles because they do not have an order from a production request from the government. At the same time, our government says that they will not provide Taurus missiles for Ukraine because in a case of war, we will not have our Taurus for ourselves. Okay, first, I do not believe that when it comes to Russia's full-scale attack against Germany, our 300 Taurus missiles will protect us, because that is not enough. And 300 or 200 Taurus missiles could have done a much better job if they would have been sent to Ukraine right now. But even if the idea is, okay, we need to have our precious German Taurus missiles, which are the best in the world, for ourselves, because Putin can attack us and we will need them desperately, why don't you produce more missiles now? And the answer is, they still do not believe what is happening. They still have not understood what is happening. This generation of German politicians were all born after the World War II. They have spent their whole life being protected by the foreign armed forces, by the United States armed forces, by the British armed forces. Most of them have denied military service. Most of them believed that Germany need only to trade to Russia to continue to be a peaceful country. Of course, you can be a peaceful country if you have been protected by the whole NATO. And now they don't understand how to deal with Putin. If I remember our first German chancellor in 1949, Konrad Adenauer, he had achieved a proposal from Joseph Stalin to get unification of Germany with one single step from Germany. The new Germany should be neutral. And Konrad Adenauer said, no, we will be a NATO member, because I understand as soon as we are neutral, you, Stalin, will attack us. And Konrad Adenauer was threatened and was attacked, etc. But he said, no, we need to be strong. We need to have strong army. And you know what? Konrad Adenauer was an old man. He was an old man who was already old in 1930s. He was a retired politician back then. And he has experienced everything in his life. He has experienced Nazi prison. He was arrested by Hitler's Gestapo and put into prison, and then sent to some sort of exile. This person experienced a Nazi Gestapo prison, and no Russian pressure, no Russian blackmailing could scare him. And now our politicians do not have that experience. Konrad Adenauer had experience of war, of bombs, of Nazi terror, of being arrested, of being harassed, of being threatened with death. And our politicians, their biggest fear is not to have coffee with all the syrups they want at the conference room. And that is the problem. They can be scared very easily. Putin says a nuke, and they get shit in their pants.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. We do not people who can say, like Ukrainians say, go to hell, we will fight. And that is the real problem.
Sergey, I wanted to ask you, do you think that there's a generational thing? Would you say that maybe the younger generation of Germany has maybe more of a realistic attitude? I was struck by just watching German news like Deutsche Welle and things this past week about really just the lackadaisical sort of lazy attitude towards what's going on. Very calm, just like they're drinking tea, as opposed to, you know, other countries' news media where they're like, hey, this is a serious thing. And I mean, they were talking about serious subjects, but, you know, with regards to this war, but just kind of really relaxed and yeah, maybe we should send the Taurus, you know. I mean, is there maybe like a younger generation or different political groups within Germany who have that sense of urgency, the appropriate level of urgency? And is there any sort of like community or political organizing around that? I mean, offline organizing that's happening in Germany?
Well, it's a great question. First, I think that Deutsche Welle is indeed very lazy media. So they are like German media are normally pretty slow and lazy, but Deutsche Welle is the tortoise among them. And
Like
there are many
Fox
reasons
News
for that.
in the U.S.
Yeah, there are like a lot of reasons for that. The way how they got funded, the way how they got governed. They are sort of they are more a ministry than a media. And that is the problem. But yes, you're right. There is like, you know, there is that joke about us Germans that the Germans always find the best solution to the problem, but by the time when this problem is not existing anymore and the solution is not needed anymore. So that is the problem. We are always like several steps back to the reality. When the Russian tanks were staying on the Ukrainian border, the German government offered Ukraine to send 5,000 helmets. By the way, they have never been sent because, according to the German Ministry of Defense, the Ukrainians have failed to fill all the paper forms for these helmets and have not entered a zip code for where the helmets should be sent. So then, like when Ukrainians needed tanks, we sent like several howitzers. When we send tanks, we send them not enough. When we send, for example, tanks for demining procedures, we send them, as I was told, with the motors, which could be easily overheated. And normally, if you overheat a motor, if you run it further, you can damage the motor. But sometimes you need to run the motor because it's a question of life and death. So the German tanks were sent with the security mechanism which prevented the motor from running when the motor is overheated. So just imagine it's July 23 in Ukraine, hot plainlands, a lot of heat, a lot of sun, the hottest plainlands in Central Europe maybe. And then like these German demining tanks run further to the Russian main field, and then like the motor starts boiling. So the security mechanism stops the motor, and the crew cannot overwrite this security mechanism because the German mechanism protects the motor from being damaged by overheating.
Right.
So they had just to abandon these tanks, otherwise they would have been killed by artillery fire.
Thank God the motor was protected.
Yeah,
the motor was protected until a Russian shell hit the motor because Russian artillery was not sleeping. So that is the problem. Our army is still not ready for the fight. We have in German Bundeswehr more generals and admirals than fighter jets. So we can theoretically throw our admirals and generals with catapults to intercept the enemy bombers.
That's a smart idea.
We have like better chances for that. And there are like comedy stories about it. When I tell them all, people look at me and say, Sergei, please don't exaggerate. It cannot be true. Unfortunately, it is. And Putin knows that. And that is the problem, because our only chance to win this war is to prevent the Russian army from overriding Ukraine and attacking Bundeswehr. Because the moment when it happens, we are lost. So we must give, from my perspective, we could have given everything we have to Ukraine until the last shell and the last cartridge, because when the war comes to Germany, these guns will not protect us.
Yeah.
And this is something, guys. This is something we were talking about during my latest interview to Times Radio when they asked whether the NATO troops have to go to Ukraine, whether we need them on the ground here. And I simply answered that there's a choice whether NATO fights Russia in Ukraine or in France, in Germany, in Finland, in Estonia, because it will happen, unfortunately.
It's coming.
And Russia
It's
is
coming.
preparing for that.
Oh yeah, guys, and also if let's talk at the individual national level, not even speaking the whole of NATO or the whole of the EU and other organizations that encompass multiple nation states. Countries are paying attention to this. They know what's happening and are still giving whatever amount they're choosing to give to Ukraine, but also putting pieces in place for what they expect to happen down the road a few years from now when this war is over. Romania recently made an announcement about changing their laws to just the Romanian military, not even in the framework of NATO, deploy Romanian troops abroad for the protection of Romanian citizens, which, if anyone's including in their statement, to combat known hybrid warfare, as it would be called. And for anyone familiar with what's happening in Moldova, it's like, okay, I can see why the Romanians are doing that. Turkey right now is in talks with the U.S. Everyone's got their opinions about that, about possible sale of ordnance, of ammunition, and the, brokering how much of that would be going to Ukraine, how much of that would be for domestic U.S. possession to fill the known need for producing more artillery shells. There's a lot of stuff going on. The problem is everyone's got their own self-interest and their own political games, and that's what we want to avoid, navigate away from, in my opinion.
Well, I think that one thing we just really need to throw some cold water on is the premise of strategic ambiguity that we keep hearing thrown about by the likes of Jake Sullivan and Schultz and many others who are in this dithering hypocrisy. Because the problem with strategic ambiguity is it only works if the enemy doesn't know what you can do. And we can see now that I think the Russian FSB and security services has so far infiltrated the information of most Western countries that they know what pieces Western countries have on the board. You can't have strategic ambiguity if the other side knows everything you can do already. If they know you don't have enough Taurus missiles, if they know that you're not going to do this, thus, and so, then there's nothing ambiguous about that, nor strategic.
Initially, when the whole question of aid to Ukraine came up and Western countries were being reluctant, I thought it was because there's a fear of escalating. And as it has progressed, I am becoming increasingly convinced it has nothing to do with a fear of escalation. It's a result of the insidious influence of Russian propaganda, particularly among the decision-making class in many Western countries.
I've got a couple of shout outs I'd like to get in here. I'm falling behind. And then I did want to pose a question to everybody on the panel here. A little topic that's been brewing quite a bit lately. So let me just scroll back in my list here and get to where I need to be. So WL threw in a $10 direct there. Keep up the good job. Salt to the Red Earth threw in a $20 super chat. This isn't even enough for Smart Wool socks, but together we are an army. I love that sentiment. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. We've got Ronnie Vranken in with a, I think it's a super sticker. I'm looking through a list that doesn't quite tell me. Sorry. We've got Cats in with a super chat as well. Slava Ukraini, VP DFO, so many awesome people on the panel. Thank you so much, Cats. Danny Carver came in with a direct tip there, $20 one as well. Operator Starsky rules. Well, everybody knows that. Thank you. Big shout. Cats, let's see here. Where am I? Sorry, there we are. Salt, that one doubled, did it? Where the hell am I? I lost myself. Sorry, the page scrolled on me there. WL with a super chat in. Keep up the good job. Thank you. We're trying our best. Rotomax in with a $20 direct shout there. Great stream, folks. A little gift to help where you think it's needed most. Well, we'll put it where it is needed most. Very much. Salt of the Red Earth again for another $10 shout here. This is a virtual hug to Starsky. I'm happy to see you back with the Shills crew. Awesome. And then where do we got here? Danny Carver shilled out 5 Shills memberships. So remember, if you're the last member of the stream, you get the bar tab for the evening. So we'll keep you posted on who gets the bill there. UTV threw in a direct donation there for the Boom Boom Fund. Danny Carver with the gifted. Okay, they're there. New member Board Cube. So welcome, new member. I love the name Board Cube. David N throws in a super chat. Hearts to the Shill Show on Saturday is where it's at. Oh, yeah. Love it. Yvonne Way, Queen of the Super Sticker, threw one in that was really cute, but I got to scroll back and find it. I'll do the little acting out in a minute. Leathercat, painting extraordinaire. Check out the auctions over at Rick's, which we've got a shout out for coming up. I was born in 74. I knew growing up Moscovia is a threat to all. My mother was in Orlando, Florida during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Too many have forgotten. Very, very good shout out there, Leathercat. We had a $10 direct tip in from Anonymous, so, it's okay. You can hide around the corner and lurk. We appreciate the contribution. And then Holy Oblation, and in the direct donation, holy is in quotes and then oblation afterwards. So okay, I got it. I wish every country that supports Ukraine would just send one missile each directly to the Kremlin. Oh, that is the best shout I have heard. Burn, baby, burn. I love it. So we are caught up here. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. What I wanted to pose to the panel is the question of Russian cash assets that are being held due to sanctions and so on. In my opinion, they shouldn't be held. They should be instantly handed to Ukraine. Let's start with Starsky and we'll go around to everybody here. What do you think?
Yeah, of course, because this gives us opportunity not only to start rebuilding, but also buying necessary equipment abroad. Because even though, we need to rebuild our country, but I would say not like it's not a proper time, but it's proper time to rebuild our critical infrastructure on the first place. But I think Sergey can talk more about this topic, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, but Sergey, you need to unmute, I think.
You're on mute, Sergey.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Okay, there you go. Sorry.
How do I unmute?
Oh, you're good. You're good. I must have clicked it. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, guys, thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with Starsky. Indeed, Russia's sovereign assets need to be seized. By the way, I just posted into the chat an interview with Yulia Ziskina, who is an American law expert and representing Razum for Ukraine NGO, and she's an amazing expert dealing with the task of seizing Russia's sovereign assets. And I've done this interview with her just a week ago, so I still remember what she told me, and I can just summarize it. So practically, we have different types of property, which can be first frozen and then being seized. So which is different things. Like you can froze the property, but you don't seize it. So the good thing is that about slightly less than 400 billion US dollars of Russia's sovereign assets in form of cash, bonds, and other like debts has been frozen worldwide. So this is cash. This can be used anytime. These assets have not been seized yet, because there is an opinion that you may not seize foreign sovereign property because the countries are sort of immune of prosecution. And Yulia Ziskina, she perfectly explains that this is a totally wrong perception, because the countries are indeed immune, but from being sued by private persons or private companies. They cannot be immune from sovereign actions of other sovereign countries. And one of the most simple examples of that is a war. When there is a, like, theoretically, you can never like destroy other people's property or kill other people, etc. But in a war, when you're under attack, nobody asks you if it is legal to kill foreign soldier or to bomb foreign position or to blow up a foreign tank, because it is a defensive action. And the same is with property rights. There are like so-called UN letters or SIVA letters which describe which kind of actions sovereign countries may undertake during their defensive actions. And seizing property is absolutely possible. So now we are coming to a very interesting, tricky part, because the assets have been frozen but not seized yet. But even being frozen, they continue to generate profit, right? It is like margin on them, it is like the interest, etc. So now all the interest goes to the pocket of the institution Euroclearance, which is in Belgium, and which practically confiscates all the profits, all the interest of the frozen assets.
Wow.
And they don't even give this profit to Ukraine. And we are talking about like profit from 400 billion US dollars. And on Euroclearance, there is like about 270, if I'm not mistaken, billion being frozen. It is about like 5 or 7 billion US dollars being generated during the last 2 years. And they say Ukraine, they tell to Ukraine, we don't give you that money because we will keep this money in our pocket. Because what if Russia will sue us? We will need to pay like salaries for our lawyers. And that is the most immoral thing, because this institution earns money on the war. And if this war had not happened, the Russian assets would not have been frozen, and this interest would have never gone into the pocket of this institution. And now they're sitting on that money and they're happy and they're saying, oh, maybe in the future we will use this money to pay the lawyers' fees, but maybe not. But now this money is ours and we keep keeping it. And that is insane.
Yes.
Especially because they promised it to Ukraine before, and then they pulled the rug out from under us, you know?
Absolutely. And Ukraine needs this money. Ukraine may buy weapons with this money. Ukraine may pay salaries to their people with this money. Ukraine may buy generators with this money. Like, Ukraine needs a lot of things now. Like, Russians within March, the Russians dropped 2,400 heavy bombs on Ukrainian cities, on Ukrainian residential area. That is the bigger amount of gliding bombs Russia ever used on Ukraine. And each and every bomb from 500 to 3,000 kilograms, that means from 1,000 to 7,000 pounds. Like, just imagine 7,000 pound bomb being like thrown at your residential area. What kind of destruction it brings. And Ukraine needs to repair it right now. 80% of Ukrainian power generation of coal and gas power stations, it has been destroyed by now. Ukraine needs this money. And then some lawyers, or like in bureaucrats in Belgium and Brussels, are sitting and saying, oh, maybe in 3 years Russia will see us and will ask, what have you done with our money? We don't want to be punished for that, so we keep this money in our pocket. Bullshit. You want to keep this money because you love money, and you don't want to give money to Ukraine because you don't believe in Ukraine's victory. And you're just waiting for Ukraine to be defeated, and then you start doing your business with Russia as usual. Exactly as some German companies are doing now. The reports, according to reports, 2 German companies actively participate in providing construction materials for the Russian to build new, like to rebuild houses, destroyed houses in Mariupol, the houses which they have confiscated from the Ukrainians. Some Ukrainian orphans have been killed, some have been kidnapped, some have been repelled from Mariupol. Now the Russians confiscated their property. Some property pieces are, of course, destroyed or damaged. So the Russians need a lot of construction material to refurbish this confiscated property of the Ukrainians, and 2 German companies participate on that project. That is really a shame.
Hey, Sergey, we're going to have to stop you for a sec. Starsky's got to go soon, so I want to give him an opportunity to say a few things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God! Thank you so much, Commander. Yeah, unfortunately, my iPad is dying. I think my flu got transferred to it. But anyways, guys, I was really happy to see you today, and I would like to thank to every single person who supports Ukraine, because this is a proper thing to do. Thank you big time to our moderators. Thank you big time to all the people who donated. Your help saves lives, and my brother Greg can confirm that. Yana can also confirm that. What you're doing is absolutely crucial for Ukraine. Guys, unfortunately,
I do have a couple of quick questions for you, Starsky, before you
Yeah.
bugger off. Firstly, when you were on Times Radio, did they ask you any tales of baby Starsky?
They did, but because all this content goes to my premium subscribers on OnlyFans, it could not be published on Times Radio. Yeah.
Okay, and the second question, this has been the burning question from everybody in the chat. Favorite food in Germany?
Unfortunately, it's Persian. So, but I've learned that they have like raw pork with onion and garlic and stuff like that, and this stuff rocks, guys. I'm literally turning into like a carnivorous creature. Yeah. So. With that, my friends, I really must say goodbye because I have 1% left. I love you.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah, take care, guys. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Chat soon, brother Starsky.
Starsky, it's really
I think
good
you
to
missed
meet
him. We'll have to finish next time.
Get him next.
And he escapes.
Yeah. Let's hit the baby Starsky stinger just for shits and giggles.
I can't
Comes with
Every-
sound
every-
effects
every-
too. Oh my word!
I feel like
Every
I'm gonna
time
have
I've seen it,
nightmares.
someone laughed over it, so I couldn't hear the sound effects.
Hey, Dick, you're going to have to send that to Times Radio, so next time they get him on into an interview, they can just throw that at him.
Yeah, I will for sure. I'll send them the Shark Week one as well, so they can really have fun with them.
every time there's someone new on a stream, just seeing their reaction to the baby Starsky is my metric of
It's a love it or hate it thing. It's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do we got here? We're coming up. Well, okay, we're live an hour and 35 minutes. So, you know, we still got a bit of time we can cruise through here and whatnot. Did anybody want to weigh in on the frozen or the assets going to Ukraine thing before we move on that one?
Yeah. Two things. First of all, somebody in the chat asked about what about the yachts? What's going on with all the yachts? You know, that's thing one. I have some ideas about that. myself. But the second thing is, we need to really push for Russia to be declared a state sponsor of terror. Okay, they're snuggling up to the Taliban and Iran and North Korea, and there are laws, at least in the United States, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I think in many other countries as well, that once a country has been declared a state sponsor of terror like that, their assets become much more vulnerable. If I'm wrong, correct me, but that's what I understand.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in that case, I mean, I don't know what kind of assets that entails, but that's something that we really need to be pushing for and really need to be talking about.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I agree with you in an ideal world, because I 100% agree that Russia is a terrorist state and that, everything that they're doing is horrible. There need to be the harshest sanctions possible. Make sure, just stranglehold on the economy that's fueling this horrific war. When it comes to being designated a state sponsor of terror, similar to Iran or to other nations that have, the Taliban in Afghanistan, as a terrorist organization. The big difference, unfortunately, is this. You've got large nation states that, and I guess it might still be possible because it's just oil and gas for the most part. Plenty of other things are being cut off little by little with sanctions. But with Russia being as large of an economy as it is, it's not huge. It's not like the world can't live without business with Russia. But my fear would be that people, somehow there would be not just skirting around, but pressure to change what business is allowed to be done with, state sponsors of terror, because unfortunately they do have international
should be
political.
None.
Exactly, it should be none. But they've got the likes of China and Saudi Arabia right this second, really speaking out with their economic interests that other countries have in them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a real messed up political game, geopolitical game of who's going to blink first.
Let me just throw something in here, guys, on this one. Forget it. Never going to happen.
Yeah.
The European Parliament in 2022 declared Russia a state sponsor of terrorism. How's that working out for you?
Yeah.
There we
The
go.
United States will not do it. And just so you guys know, sitting on the UN Council of the members of the Counterterrorism Committee is the Russian Federation.
Yeah. How does that,
Good luck.
But the best for me was the Human Rights Council for the UN is a rotating seat, and Iran was
that's
was
like
the head
saying,
of the seat just after
Saudi
after
Arabia,
they cracked down on the protests they had in 2020, and I'm like, this is great.
It's because it was Emperor Palpatine's day off.
That's like taking a fox and taking him into the chicken coop and saying, okay, you're babysitting, okay?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Well, I'm in favor of taking
But
a group
Commander Macmillan wanted to say something on the side on the frozen assets. I know.
Yeah, I think one of the things that could, in theory, be done, because there's this concern about what do you have to do if at the end of the conflict the funds are required to be returned when you don't have them because you've given them to Ukraine. The argument could be those funds are going to be calculated as payment for future reparations to Ukraine by Russia. And in that way, you circumvent that issue to an extent. And I think that would help. But I think whoever said, I'm sorry, I couldn't see who was saying it, the idea of it actually occurring is between slim to none. Because as you point out, with the banks who are holding those funds now having a vested interest in keeping them frozen for as long as possible to generate billions of dollars of free money, that influence is going to be applied very heavily to make sure that it's never seized. It stays frozen.
Indeed.
Well,
Yeah, there was a question, super chat that came in, but I thought I'd bring it up now because it's pertinent, and it was basically said: is there a legal argument to make that about having to use all the gains from the seized assets belonging to the sanctioned persons to go to the victims, leading to the need of sanctions and seizure? Yeah, so it's basically kind of like what you were just saying there, Commander. I just sort of thought I'd bring that in now.
Yeah. Sergey,
they're not going to argue that the funds need to be, I mean, they will argue it, but that's not the real reason, that the funds need to be held in case we have to deal with this in a legal sense after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're talking about the interest that they're making.
Right, and that's what I mean.
That's
they don't care about that so much as they care about this is free money, because even if they have to give that money back in the future, as it's accumulating, they're able to siphon off money for, fees for handling and safeguarding and everything else, regulatory fees, that the banks can then apply to their own finances and their own.
They're going to make it disappear, so there won't be.
Yeah, it's financial wizardry is what it all is. BS.
The basic idea of separating the interest from the body of the capital is already pretty weird, because you either may freeze or seize the body, or you may not. And the interest is, when it is being generated, turns to be a part of the body.
Yeah.
You cannot just say, okay, you own your money, but you cannot own the profit. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I think a place you could look at as an example is what they did with narcotic smuggling. Anytime the police or drug enforcement agencies or whatever seize drugs, they can seize assets belonging to those people and then sell it for their own purposes, because the law has been drafted to make that possible. What you need to do is build the political will to write legislation into effect that says a terrorist group, or if you want to do a country that declares an unsanctioned war or whatever, that can be applied as well. But they're never going to do it.
Absolutely. The laws are being created by the legislative bodies. And if they say we don't have a law for that, then do your job, create a law. We have the legal basics for that, the understanding that the destruction which you cause to another country must be repaid. That is an absolutely legal understanding of the situation. You also have the receiver letters of the UN, which say that you may undertake steps which are not legal in a normal situation, but are legal when you fight back the aggression. So just create the legislation if you believe that there is no one, because this legislation will be in harmony with the international law. And Ukraine needs this money. Of course, I absolutely agree with you. This money could later be counted as a part of reparations paid by Russia. Under the most conservative estimations, this war has already cost over 170 billion euro of direct damage for Ukrainian economy. This is only direct destructions, like destroyed bridges, destroyed houses, destroyed property, destroyed factories, etc. And these calculations have been done last summer. So now calculate all the power plants, etc. It doesn't calculate indirect costs, it doesn't calculate death of people, IDPs costs, etc., or environmental costs. So believe me, if we count every single damage Russia has caused to Ukraine, including dead animals, including poisoned waters, including damage like environmental damage of all, can you imagine how much toxic chemicals go into the soil when you destroy one Russian tank? It's like incredible. If you calculate it's everything, I believe that Russia will have to sell its oil and gas for the next 1,000 years, and pump the profit into Ukraine. So just confiscate this $400 billion. It will be a small part of the compensation Russia will have to pay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to
Totally
interject
agree.
one thing for you guys. You guys ever heard of Abkhazia?
Very much so,
Yep.
yes.
Okay. I'm going to do a piece on that probably next week.
About
This
Oh,
is
go
all
ahead.
wonderful, and I completely agree with all of you, but I'm sorry, unless Russia is defeated on the battlefield, none of this will ever happen.
Yeah.
And what you are seeing in Ukraine right now, they don't care about the soil. They don't care about the destroyed buildings. All they care about is destruction. And it will never be rebuilt if Russia wins the war. It will just go to wasteland, and it will grow up. Forest will grow up. It will turn into a landscape of nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to sit here and speak about sanctions and frozen assets and all this, but listen to me closely. 30 years working in Russia, 30. If they're not destroyed, forget it. This is not
Nobody's
Georgia.
remediated the soil around the Aral Sea, so that's all you need to know.
This is not Georgia. This is not Chechnya. This is the war against the West, where Ukraine is caught in the crosshairs, and Ukraine is set up right now as sacrificial lambs. And unfortunately, the rest of the world is not catching up to that and the truth of that. And the only way to defeat this, you will not sanction them and beat them. You will not find them and beat them. You will not sell oligarchs yachts and beat them. You will not slap them on the wrist and beat them. They will have to be destroyed.
Yeah.
That is it.
I-
This is
I-
a
You heard
new
it.
era
You
of
heard it
history.
here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's bomb
Absolutely.
Russia.
Okay, so I completely agree with you there, Greg, and I will add on to it. First of all, thank you for pointing out the fact that everyone is kind of focused on the sanctions on ways to do this that don't involve giving Ukraine everything that it needs to win the war. And when I say that, I mean some politicians across various different countries. The big thing is this: defeating and destroying your enemy. Does it look like the fall of the Third Reich with a complete and total military takeover, defeat? Or does it look like the Soviet Union, where your Cold War information warfare, espionage, you've actually found the way to make the system eventually nudge it in a position to where it collapses? And the thing is, countries around the world that are supporting Ukraine that want to push back against Russia and Russia's attempts to rebuild empire, they have to be willing to, confidently and overtly show the Russians that, we're not going to be pushed around. We're going to stand united. We're going to, I just noticed Greg is gone, but we're going to actually assist Ukraine and bring Ukraine into the fold and stand, as a united front, an alliance against this threat that's coming from Eastern Europe and also other parts of the world right now, most especially Russia. If they don't do that and also crack the code, the complicated code, it is complicated, of how to Balkanize Russia, the way that Yugoslavia balkanized, literally it's in the name of the region, the way that the Soviet Union balkanized, the way that all of these large advanced economies that strive to be superpowers are basically, trying to mess with each other's systems. If you don't crack that code, then this is going to keep going for generations. We've seen it. It's just, unfortunately, the reality of how power seems to flow in that part of the world that is known as Russia.
See, the fear I have is, let's assume you do get some sort of collapse of the Soviet Union scenario without actually having to invade or whatever. I don't think the stage is set where you're going to get an appreciable change of the system. You're just going to change the faces of the people who were on stage. People were talking about Navalny when he was still a potential player, as he was going to be the big solution to everything. Yet Navalny had said that he was kind of in favor of the whole thing with invading Ukraine because it would secure Russia's borders and everything. The mindset of the people who are at the top of the Russian pyramid is the fundamental issue. And it goes back into Tsar's times where it's all, we're the boyars. We get to decide what goes on, and nobody else has any say in the process.
Yeah. Well, and let me say this: that change of mindset. Well, first of all, it is a long term. It takes a while. It takes generations. It takes decades for that mindset to occur. Sometimes it can vary from scenario to scenario, country to country. But here's a good example of why I say the Balkanization and really cracking the code of how to make that speed up that result when it comes to the Russian Federation is so important. Okay, there are many nations, ex-Soviet nations, that have very different political systems from one another. I mean, look at Ukraine versus Kazakhstan versus Tajikistan. They're extremely different. Okay, and the geography is different. Some are more in Europe, some are more in Asia, but all of these countries evolved politically and socially after that stranglehold, that central authoritarian stranglehold was released from them. Some of them became more liberal and democratic. Some of them basically just replaced the Soviet dictatorship with their own local dictatorship. Some of them introduced more Islamist laws. Some of them clung to old, legal frameworks that were inherited from the Soviets, all across the board. But my point is that if that could somehow happen again, you are going to see countries, just like how Ukraine has become a bit closer with the West, you have portions of Russia that could change. Yeah. But that can never happen while central power remains in the hands of the Kremlin.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, I did a little research. It turns out that the word dictator, it's actually a compound word, dick and tater, and its original pronunciation was cock potato. So,
and it is actually Dick's full name.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Mother, please get off the stream. Dick's getting ready to get foul. Mother, turn the YouTube off, please.
That is that stimulating wit that I am subscribed for.
Okay, let me jump in here quick with a couple of shout outs. And first shout out is Rick the Ukrainian and the fellow baby, or the rollers, sorry. They got the auction going here for the flag signed by Roman, the crazy sniper himself there. And right now in our chat, Silver Earth there, current bid's 1,100. So, this is that's the crazy sniper himself. So, get on there. The link is going in the things right now. Yeah, see, everybody on the channel beat me to it. I tried to be the one to do it, but yeah, everybody beat me. So big shout out to Rick. He couldn't be here today because he's burning the candle at both ends, and the poor guy just needed a little bit of bedtime. So happy thoughts to Rick. Remember, get over and check out his auctions.
Sorry, I want to add something about that auction real fast. Just want to say two things. One, there's the flag. That's going to be the big auction item. There's also a few other things. If you're a fan of artwork, there are a few paintings, beautiful paintings on there as well that are being auctioned as well, made by a member of the Rollers community.
Wow, that one's really cool.
Yeah. And they all have descriptions about their meaning and inspiration. They're all inspired, of course, by the events happening in Ukraine. And finally, that flag at the top signed by Roman. Roman is both a wounded veteran, good friend of Rick and several other Ukrainian YouTubers I know, and he served as a sniper with the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, who were instrumental in helping other soldiers survive in the evacuation from Avdiivka, and have done many other very important special forces operations. So,
Dickie Dawson.
Go check it out, everyone.
And now let me tag on with Trident, Secular Sakai. Doing my first raffle, and I will be learning tomorrow how to raffle with the master, Rick the Ukrainian. So I have brought back a number of signed battle flags from the Zero line that were actually signed in the trenches. And this one is actually done, and the soldier drew Shevchenko on there, very famous Ukrainian. This is signed by Fish, right from the Zero line in the bunker. And I actually have about 50 of these, plus some other incredible flags. For example, this flag here, I have, it's an EU flag. I have some national flags. EU flag, signed right from the Zero line in the
that's
bunker.
fantastic. Yeah.
And now this one's not, but I mean, it will be in the future, but the Ukrainian flag here will be raffled for the first time tomorrow. So $10 raffle tickets on Rick. I'm going to learn how to raffle. And then maybe once a week on my streams, I'm going to raffle a flag a week or something of that nature.
Awesome.
And do it with a $10 raffle ticket and have some, I don't know. I got to learn how to do all this stuff. I'm not that high tech of a redneck.
Yeah, but you've got the master in your pocket to show you how, right? You know,
Dickie Dawson. But you know, listen, let's be honest. You know, if we want to mess with Dickie Dawson a little bit, we can put the hammer on Dickie.
Oh yeah,
and have fun with him.
Please do.
You know, and I've got one that makes me sound just like you.
Right now. So yeah, I have buttons too. But
that reminds me of when Pete tested out the helium.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, it's not really a good thing. You guys need to go back and watch that stream. Pete and I were there, really close to the front, and we're. This is so funny. In fact, I probably need to cut that out and play that Monday night on our live stream with Pete. This is what we did. We're giving him all the gifts and all this stuff, and doing all this stuff, and then we have this big bottle, a cylinder of helium that nobody else could find, but we found, and. Actually, we were talking to the fireman, to Vova, on helping us locate the location. Okay, all of these things, all these guys we know. And this was the funniest thing. Pete goes, well, let's test it and see if it works live on the stream. He goes, don't worry, this is safe. I'm a medic. You know, it was so stinking funny. I said, okay, dude, that's ridiculous. And he says, don't worry about it. I'm a medic. But we'll see. It's going to be good.
Like,
so
yep,
tomorrow in the second half of Rick's stream, I'll be there with the raffle, $10. Learn how that works and the computer side of it and all that jazz. And then next week I'll do one on my own on one of my nightly streams, and I'll have the software all set up to do it and be a high tech redneck. But tomorrow is also my mother-in-law's 80th birthday, so I'll be going to lunch with her. Wow. Yes. Unfortunately, she's still living, but, you know, we're working on it. I've done my best, you know. I said, come on, Meemaw. Come on, Meemaw. You know, I'm just messing. Have a wonderful mother-in-law, as we all do, right? We all have wonderful mother-in-laws, but.
Yeah, I
do.
do.
Suffer for our art.
Hey,
mine's way better than my ex-wife, so, I mean, it works great.
Rick's stream tomorrow will probably be long, and it'll be very good. So you guys, there's all the commercials.
It's Rick's stream. It is going to be long.
Yeah.
It's Rick's stream. Of course it's going to be long.
Yes.
We got a birthday shout out. Rita Terry in the chat. Happy birthday!
Oh my gosh.
All right. I do have a couple of shout outs I'll do quick, and then, you know, we'll get to like a bit of you know, our you know, closeouts and whatnot here. I don't want to miss any of the shout outs though. So Appa Talks threw in a super chat. Great stream. What are the Rick Rollers? Rollers represent. We got a $75 direct donation in from YOLO Swaggins. Putin must die. Slava Ukraini. Awesome. We've got another one here from CF in the chat. To Ukraine, Slava Ukraini from CF, and it's $50. We got Salt of the Red Earth come in with a super chat here. To Serge, is there? Oh yeah, we did the question there. Right. Dunk read it out already. So thank you for that, Salt of the Earth. I think Salt of the Earth is like rampaging through the super chat section of our stream today. We got Yvonne Way, Queen of the Super Sticker, in with another one, and let me just flip over to see what it was. It's the little fox dude with a heart. So here, pretend I'm a fox. Is it working? Is it working? Is it working?
I don't know. What does the fox say?
Put me in the chicken coop because I'm hungry, baby. and we got Leathercat. Leathercat is the artist that's doing the paintings over on Rick's auctions there. And so Leathercat's got talent and all. Super chat here. You realize that Moscovia holds the Soviet seat in the UN illegally. The Soviet Union no longer exists, period. And they never signed the UN Charter. There's something to talk about right there.
That's true. That's true, and that is the tricky part. So the UN Charter, if I may intervene here, any country can join the UN either as a founding nation or as a new member. And Russia was not among the founding nations. The Soviet Union was, by the way, Ukraine was, and Belarus was. So Ukraine was a founding nation of the UN from the very beginning. So the Soviet Union ceased to exist in December, on 31st December of 1991. And there was a decision of the Supreme Council of the Soviet Union, which stated, I quote, "The Soviet Union as a subject of international law has ceased to exist." There was no word there that it has transferred its legal status to Russia. And Russia has never stated in its founding documents that it takes the legal substance of the Soviet Union and form it in a new way. So Russia was a new state, exactly as states like Kazakhstan, Georgia back then, and etc. And every single country of them, except of Russia, and of course except of Ukraine and Belarus, because they were founding members of the UN, but every single nation of the Soviet Union, except of Russia, brought their documents to the UN and asked to be accepted as UN members and signed the UN Charter and were accepted by the decision of General Assembly. Yeah, so Russia did not. On the next day, as the Soviet Union ceased to exist, the Soviet representative at the UN, like there are no ambassadors at the UN, there are representatives at the UN. The Soviet representative at the UN just came into the room, took the seat which he used to have, like as former representative of the Soviet Union, but now he was representative of Russia, and without any explanation, he just continued to fulfill his duties as a representative at the UN Security Council, but not as a representative of the Soviet Union anymore, but as one of Russia. And no one protested.
Yeah.
There is no single decision that Russia was accepted by the UN, that Russia inherited the seat of the Soviet Union, no single document. And there is an official answer by the U.S. authorities, because the U.S. authorities, they keep the documents of the UN as the guardian of these documents, because the UN is being seated in the U.S. and the U.S. authorities keep their documents safe. And they answer no, there is no single document which explains what the hell Russia is doing in the UN, not speaking about the UN Security Council. So yes, it's absolutely illegal.
Great explanation, man. Great explanation. That's awesome. Would you, just to stay with you there, Serge, for a second, would you say that the reaction from other countries not standing up and saying, wait a minute now, was that a little bit of fear?
I think it was a prejudice, mostly, because, like in many countries, the Soviet Union was Russia. And we know that even until recently, the in Germany politicians said that there was like the Nazi Germany attacked Russia. No, Nazi Germany never attacked Russia. Nazi Germany attacked the Soviet Union, and the first nations who have been killed by the Nazis, the Belarusian, Lithuanian, Ukrainian, etc. And there was like such like it was like a synonym, because the Soviet Union tried to erase the nationality of colonized nations. So they said, we are a homogeneous nation, and for many, like it was, of course it's Russia. Like the capital was Moscow, it is now Moscow. The seat of the leader is Kremlin, was Kremlin, it's now Kremlin. So it is the same. They speak Russian, they wear the same uniform, blah, blah, blah. So it's Russia. So nobody actually questioned it. But of course, like I would agree with you that there was some sort of fear, the fear of uncontrolled development because of the nukes, because of the army. Like if we don't accept Russia as just like the consequent heir of the Soviet Union, what will happen? Will they rebel? We actually want them to have them as an ally, etc. So it was an absolutely illegal decision and negligence, and now we have the consequence, because the Russians learned that they may fool the West as they want to and just earn the profits, and that's what they're doing until now.
Excellent. Anybody want to weigh in on that?
I mean, I just think that we need to be very, very careful, because what we're teaching other countries through this, trying to be careful to prevent the breakup of Russia because nukes. We're teaching other countries in the world that they need nukes. We're proliferating nukes,
Look at Commander McMillan nodding his head in the background there. If he agrees, you damn well know it's correct.
Well, I think the key is that countries are realizing if you have nukes, even if it's just a handful, you don't need a giant arsenal like Russia or China. It's scary enough that the West will be very reluctant to apply full military pressure against you, because they're terrified you'll use them, and then we get into an escalatory situation.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you guys one thing right now from talking to all my buddies in Ukraine. If this continues to go the way it's going, Ukraine will be nuclear again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Period.
I wish
you
they
say,
still
where are they
were.
going to get
Absolutely.
them from? They're going to make them.
Well, we're going to start
on that
selling
point,
them
actually-
in a shill store.
Yes. Jana has a very good point. The only country that ever disarmed itself.
That's right.
Hey, South Africa disarmed itself. We disarmed ourselves as well. Thank you very much.
That's what I
We
was
also
meaning.
disarmed-
I said South Africa.
Oh, Ukraine did as well, but yeah.
They were kind of forced to, let's be honest.
Yeah, nobody's arm was
Yeah.
twisted there, right? Come on.
Yeah, no, we actually, but no, on Greg, on what you said with Ukraine probably going to have a nuclear arsenal again. I was speaking to a Ukrainian friend of mine, and she was telling me that the Ukrainian activist Sternenko, he was talking about how Ukraine should, he was like, yeah, guys, should we, I found these people who can get us in touch with, who can maybe get us some uranium or something, now we just need people to be able to make it. And in Ukraine, you have an app with your ID on it, but you also they've now loaded, you can load your driver's license, and they've now uploaded your qualifications on it and everything. And he just made a joke about it, and almost immediately afterwards, Ukrainians were posting screenshots of their qualifications saying, hey, I've got a qualification in nuclear sciences. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
And they're okay, cool. We've already crowdsourced everything's already done.
So Ukraine has the facility and the capability to do it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and that, go ahead.
This brings up an interesting question because we're always worried about terrorists getting hold of nuclear weapons. What happens if a terrorist organization attacks Russia with a nuclear weapon? Could be a dirty bomb, whatever. A terrorist attacks Russia, and then Russia then blames Ukraine, even though they wouldn't nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I checked, Russia is a terrorist nation and they have nukes. Just throwing that out there for you.
And not
but I'm just messing, Doc.
Yeah,
I'm
not
just
so many
messing.
what ifs in that one, is there?
Greg, just so you know, the rules around here that I'm the one that's silly. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't help it though.
Well, and taking the nuclear part out of that equation, I mean, look at what just happened recently at the Crocus Music Hall.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, ISIS attacks. It's horrible. Civilians are killed. And what's the first reaction of the Russian government and military?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow they were working together. They paid them or whatever. I don't,
Yeah, and then Lukashenko messed up his line. That was my favorite.
Oh, I didn't see
messing up his line.
No,
they wanted to come to Belarus, but we closed the border, so they went to Ukraine instead. I'm like,
Sakai,
dude, come on.
Sakai, you're wrong. The first reaction was not to blame Ukraine. The first reaction was the police station and the Rosguardia that was like 5 minutes away was to hide in their offices. That was the first reaction.
Yeah, away from windows, because you know how it goes over there. You get too near an open window, you're bound to be thrown out of it.
Yeah.
And really fast, going back to what Yana was saying with Starinenko and all of the reaction, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I've mentioned this before. There are a lot of Ukrainian language social media, I mean, just YouTube channels alone. A lot of people really don't realize this, that there are more Ukrainian language channels, I think, with higher follower and subscriber counts than English language news channels about what's happening in Ukraine. And I think Starinenko alone on YouTube has 2 million or something like that.
Yeah, and Starinenko actually has subtitles on his YouTube videos, and I'm just like, I wish I had the time to watch every single like Ukrainian stream that is on YouTube. Like, I wish I had the time.
Yeah.
But so his stuff actually has subtitles as well.
Yeah, he's interesting. I have his views are very interesting to hear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's see here. We're 2:13.
Sorry,
2 hours.
We interrupted you with your shout out. Sorry.
I actually have a couple to finish wrapping up on here. Where am I? Oh, yeah. So CF Beauty, you guys are all talking to her in the live chat there on the Shills account. She runs the teams around here. She threw in a super chat. It's for you, Greg. Greg, I thought you said your mom's birthday. Happy birthday to your mother-in-law and your mom when it comes up. I saw that look on your face.
Thank you so much. It is my mother-in-law's birthday tomorrow, and my mother's birthday will be coming in a couple months. So thank you.
Awesome. We'll have to make sure we get a good shout and mention in for Mommy Day. And
we'll bring Mother on as a guest for her birthday.
That would be amazing. I promise to be good. I will. I promise. Just for you, Mommy. Just for you. And we had Nelly Cat come in with a direct donation there as well. 4,000 Hungarian forints. I just think that's the coolest name for money. I love that one.
I'll be honest, that makes me extremely happy. Anytime I've had a few Hungarians make donations on other streams I've been on, and it always makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Because we need more Hungarians to stop being apolitical and actually speak out against a lot of things happening.
Yeah, and
there's big demonstrations going on there.
That to die in Budapest in Hungary, dozens of thousands, if not 100,000 people protested against Orban, and I think it is the largest protest against Orban we have seen, like mass protests in several weeks, if not months, but today's is the biggest one.
Oh wait, I've been so sucked into other things related to Ukraine and other. Man, I'm out of the loop. There's a protest happening right now. today?
Really?
you said, or
Yes. Today there was a huge protest in Budapest, and they were shouting like, "Get away! We don't want you." There are accusations, from my perspective, very correct, that he's a Russia's puppet.
Yep.
And people are not quite happy with what is going in Hungary. And it looks like Orban is losing his grip, because until now he managed to balance between his foreign policy, internal policy. He managed to keep things under control and mobilize his core electorate, but it looks like it's like Machiavelli wrote in his The Prince, instruction for a dictator. You can be successful all the time, but one day you will not be lucky anymore, and you will suddenly recognize that people who praised you don't like you anymore, and then there is nothing you can do. And that is actually the quintessence of The Prince, that you will ride this horse for a certain time, maybe for a longer time, but you will never be able to ride this horse forever. And you cannot predict when this not anymore moment will come. And let's hope that for Orban, this not anymore moment has just arrived.
Agreed. And here's another big. Here's the big thing with Hungary. Because they they even take pride in calling themselves, quote, an illiberal democracy, whatever that's supposed to mean, or at least Orban and his party do. But the opposition there, the way things are right now, may not be able to win elections, but there is support, and there is support from young people especially those who have moved away from Hungary and aren't voting because they need jobs, but go to other European countries for better economies. So hopefully, as you said, that does change. Fidesz has been in power for far too long, and between Hungary and Turkey, we need to see less of these spoilers in the EU and NATO, and I hope we don't see that develop in places like Slovakia and a few other countries.
Well said.
Okay, Dick, I got to wave bye-bye.
Okay. All right.
You take care.
Yeah, you take care
Hey,
there.
Commander.
Yeah, take care,
next
Commander
week.
Million.
Always, my friend.
Yeah.
No watching you.
All right. We'll see you next week, buddy.
Toodles.
All right. So let me see here. Where am I? Sorry, everybody. 1 second here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, we've got to get ourselves into wrap-up mode pretty much here, right? So why don't we start with let's start with Yana.
No, don't start anywhere yet. You got a few super chats to finish up. Get those
But I'll
done.
do them on my turn as we go.
All right, then do it your way.
Yeah, so thanks for being here, guys, and continue to support Ukraine. And yeah,
Good show.
Yep.
good, yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's all I want to say to people, especially those who aren't. Just support Ukraine, please. Just
Yeah.
why
Like, just-
support?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean, the Shahi drone factory that was struck by Ukraine, just after it was hit, all of a sudden that institution is just like popping up on my Twitter feed with like this woman from Nigeria or Kenya, and she's like, I'm a person in color, not off color, in color. And I'm working at this factory. And I'm like, okay, first of all, no one from Africa uses the term I'm a person of color. We don't say that, okay? But she's here and she's like working there, and Ukraine attacked our residence. And I'm like, no, you're working at a bomb factory, chick. And then we did some research into it, and I found out that this place only employs women from Africa. And we did some further digging and found out there are actually South Africans working there. And we're like, what the hell? Come on, guys. Get your
Yeah.
together. What is with this? So now I'm like super pissed at these people from my country I don't even know. And I'm like, are you aware that you're making freaking drones? And like, it's not like this institution can lie and say that, oh no, they're just working on engineering projects. Because on their freaking like promo material, these women are standing there with the wings of the damn Shahi drones. And I'm like,
Pretty hard to deny it then.
yeah, what is this for? No, it's a model airplane.
Well,
Like, no.
hopefully they're not very good.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got I know quite a few people from India, and okay, I'll be honest, a lot of them are pretty neutral.
It's
but
wrapped. You got to be quick.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, same thing with India. I have some friends who are very pissed off about people who have either chosen or been tricked into fighting for Russia, and it's the whole BRICS. Stay away from Russia. Anyone who's in BRICS.
Seriously.
Yeah, that is exactly the problem, that Russia is like they just ignore any law. Moreover, they are happy when they manage to violate a law and get unpunished. They find that it is like a sort of valor, a sort of bravery to destroy every single fundamental pillar of international peaceful cooperation. So what they do, they started a global campaign of tricking people into Russia from all countries in the world, from Brazil and Nepal, from India and South Africa. They just invite them, like as with I don't know, like student visa, etc. Then a police officer would come to them and say, okay, you have already invested your money, you paid for travel ticket, you paid like tuition fee, and now we will deport you back home, and you will explain to your family why you have been deported and you've lost all the savings. Or you have a solution, you can go for army like for 6 months, and then you will not fight, you will stay somewhere behind the front lines, and then the person finds himself on the front. So of course, on every single step, this person should have made a research. What is Russia? What are they doing? If they really are so friendly towards the foreigners, because Russia is one of the most racist countries in the world. They have neo-Nazi groups who are literally hunting foreigners and hunting even Russian citizens with the wrong like color of skin or face or etc. And it is well known. If you Google neo-Nazis Russia, you will see a lot of information of that. Of course, they didn't care. Of course they came. Then they didn't care that they go to the war. They didn't care that they will help to kill Ukrainians. They didn't care. But after all, like there are a lot of these videos when all these Nepalese people or Indian people, they are absolutely like afraid. They're filming themselves, say, oh, we don't know what is going on. We have seen this video of the Chinese guy who said, oh, I was promised I will be paid and we will have weapons and the food will be good and weapons will be good and clothes will be good. And now I'm freezing, I have pneumonia, I don't have any medicine, they beat me, please consult the Chinese consulate. And I say, okay, guy, what have you expected? You have signed up for a genocidal war of aggression. What did you expect? That the Russians like cheat everyone but not you, that you're special, that they will be fair with you while they're cheating and killing everyone? Taste your own medicine. I don't care what you're doing there. The only way which is good is that you will be neutralized. And that is what is happening, but unfortunately it helps the Russians to increase their manpower.
Yeah, very much. Very much. Oh no, James, you've gone dark.
Normalna.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's James, you're up next year on rap roundups and whatnot. So Emperor Palpatine will call you for now.
All right. Well, I'll be quick. You know, we talked a lot about fantasies this stream. So to make Greg happy, I'm going to share with you my secret fantasy for the yachts. See, what we're going to do, we're going to get a bunch of volunteers together, and they're going to be well-trained volunteers, and we're going to privatize those yachts. Yeah? right? And let's call them. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Look at that. But so let's call them privateers. So our privateers who are going to privatize these yachts, we're going to take them all, and we're gonna form the Free Ukraine Navy, right? Or FUN for short. It'll be fun. It'll be fun, I swear. And then we're going to take a bunch of sea babies to Vladivostok and just see what happens. That's my secret plan.
That's not so secret anymore.
Oh, crap.
I'm gonna
Terrible
get a
at
couple.
OPSEC, dude. You're terrible with OPSEC.
We can all have our fantasies, and that's mine.
Yeah. We got a super sticker in there from Mertzy in the chat. You can see the little bird dude right there under where I'm talking. Let's see, right about there. And then Adrian comes in with get rid of the. Oh, here. No, wait a minute. Get rid of the cave troll. And that works out to be a good like $110 Canadian. So set off the alarm, people. Boom. I always want to remind you, you got to get at your local, regional, and national governments. You've got to make sure your voice is heard, that your government knows that if they want your vote, you demand support for Ukraine. As much as we all do together, and Greg's going to give us a quick update when coming up in a second here. People in the live chat are demanding an update. But the government, when they actually put their weight behind it, can do so much. So bug them, snail mail, email, stand naked on a corner with a sign, I mean, whatever you have to do, get it done. Let's turn it over to Greg Terry here.
Dickie, thank you as always, and everybody else here tonight. This has been awesome, or this afternoon for me now. We're rolling. As far as our update, I'm expecting within the next 2 weeks, we will have the $260,000 done for the 4 armored vehicles. We're getting ready to probably make a pretty significant jump over the next 7 days. And of course, we'll be updating you. There's some things happening behind the scenes now that are super good. All of our documentation is in place.
Nice.
Plus, I really think we're going to generate a lot of income from these raffles. And I don't mean income, but I mean donations. Income for the project. And it's going to be really good. I mean, these are very, very special flags. So, yeah, you're not getting those from Amazon. In addition to that, I would just say this to jump on with Sergey for one moment as my closing statement tonight, and that would just be this. Yes, everybody's has made their comments, and it's been beautiful, wonderful program, great panel, to be quite honest. A lot of brain power in here, just and care for Ukraine.
Thanks.
Yeah, led by Magic Yoda from the UK. I love Duncan.
That was funny.
I would just say this, because it is interesting for me. I want to give you guys a little bit of deeper insight into the topic that kind of happened in our closeout, which was foreign nationals coming to serve for Russia under not really realizing what they had stuck their finger into, what pie they had jumped in, what swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
I once again want to remind you, this did not start 2 years ago. This did not start in 2016. This did not start in 2014. Russia has been bringing students and workers for the last 30 years preparing for this. So many people come to Russian universities to be educated or for work. And this is not just something that happened over the last couple of years, guys. Yes, we see the stories now. The Tibetans are coming and, oh my God, I woke up on the front line. Yeah, what do you expect? Okay, but guys, don't fall for just that elementary level. This has been going for decades and decades in preparation for where we're at. So it's really good. You're in communities like this, and I'm so thankful tonight through this platform to have met Sergey, and I look forward to maybe connecting with you, brother. Especially, I know, I'm sure you have your Vladimir Zelensky mask on right now because you look just like him. But other than that, everything is,
God, it's uncanny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been waiting to drop that one for the end, but I would like to welcome everybody tonight. We've got Volva Zelensky up in the house, and he's done a really good job explaining the German background and initiations of the
we can test. We can test
deployment of the Taurus missiles. But
Yeah.
in all seriousness, it's been a really, really good stream. It's an honor to meet you, Sergey. Look forward to cooperating more in the future as we go forward. But guys, just continue to remember, do the best you can. I always say it this way on my channel. Make sure you have good, pure water to drink from, and you're not being sucked down the toilet of misinformation. And in addition to that, be thankful for where you're at right now. Be thankful for your family. Be thankful for your local towns, wherever you're at in this world. Be thankful for what you have, because right now, unless you're maybe Pete, who's laying in his bed, maybe watching this, who knows, and just being silent. If you are Pete, hello, buddy. None of us are laying in a zero line right now in a trench, freezing. So be thankful for what you have. And because of that, let's do our part to stand with our Ukrainian brothers and sisters. So thank you.
Awesome, Greg. Awesome.
Thank you.
And Sergey, here we go. The floor is yours. It's goodbye time. Maybe a message from yourself and a message from everybody at ERIC and whatnot. And yeah.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for this amazing broadcasting, and thank you, Greg, for your fantastic words. I'm absolutely delighted and honored and privileged to be here. Absolutely looking forward to cooperate with you guys. And the most important thing, and that is what we are observing right now, and have observed during the last over 2 hours and over the last over 2 years, that the support for Ukraine by people who know what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, is amazing. And as we all know, the real support comes from people who do things, who do not live their lives without making their money, without earning their money, without moving things, without suffering under pressure and doing their jobs and taking care for their families and for their friends. The real support comes exactly from the people who do all these things, not from the politicians who don't know how to earn money, who don't know how to take care of their people. It comes from the people who know this thing, who care, who work hard, and when they donate their money, they know that this money have been earned with hard work, and they know that Ukrainians are fighting their war, and that is the most moving thing. We know that in Germany, in the US, in Canada, in other countries, a lot of people look at the Ukrainians and think, it could be my family being killed in Bucha. It could be my friends sitting there. And that's why we do what we do. And thank you guys for what you're doing. It was a pleasure to be here. It was a pleasure to see the level of support, all the comments, all the chats, all the donations. Do you continue your work? You're amazing.
Great words, man. Great words. We have absolutely loved having you here, and I can't wait to, do more streams and, talk to more people and, enjoy time together, because everything you said was just perfect. That was great timing, Greg. You nailed that one, man.
I did get the $9.99 mail-in brochure of streaming according to Dickie Dawson. I read it over the last 3 days in preparation for the stream. I'm ready, buddy.
I'm checking my accounts for that payment just to make sure.
Well, since we're closing out, I'll just say, Sergey, thank you for being here. Was another great stream, really, but all the streams over here on the shows are pretty good, but this one was particularly engaging and interesting conversation. And I was checking out the channel for ERIC a little earlier, and I saw you guys did an interview recently of Malcolm Nance, which is very impressive. So I'm going to go check out more of your content, and I do know someone who's plugged in with a few advocates in Washington, D.C. who has their own channel here on YouTube. So I'll send an email, try to get you guys in touch as well.
Perfect. Dunk, what do you think?
Much. Thank you.
Any last words there, Dunk?
Yeah, sure. Of course, I've got something to say. Yeah, Sergey, nice to meet you. Lovely to meet you. I'm not going to mention any names, but I do know somebody on this panel who was seriously jealous of your studio setup when you were doing your stream with Starsky. I'm not going to mention any names, but he was very, very jealous. But as you always know, everybody loves my. I always have plans to help screw up the Kremlin and Russia and all that kind of. Now, it's my latest scheme.
Oh God.
You know when you get all that junk mail, through your door, and you just like throw it in the bin or just like send, return to sender and all that kind of stuff. Well, don't do that. Take your junk mail and put somebody in the chat, please, dox the address, the actual address of the Kremlin, and just say on your junk mail, just forward to ... somewhere Moscow, and then the Kremlin will just get covered in paperwork.
That'll be our information warfare against Russia.
Exactly. They'll have all these leaflets from Top's Pizza, and they won't know what to choose.
Oh, that's funny.
But apart from that, Slava Ukraini, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome.
Herojem Slava.
Unfortunately, we will see you next week.
Yeah. So remember, everybody, if you happen to have a gun in your pocket and you're in a dark alley and you see that evil Vladimir Putler walking past you, just take aim and get it over with. Come on. There's got to be an out-of-work sniper out there that maybe could just use, training, extra, work in the field to make sure they keep their chops up. Come on, do us a favor.
Seriously.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, everybody. A reminder to Sergey and Secular Sakai there. Don't forget to be in YouTube Studio to hit end stream at the end when everything's done here. And keep your stick on the ice, fellow babies. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Chat. Bye. Stay chilly.
Don't forget ya.
It's over. Go home. Go.